Hello, officials, and welcome to the 2026 football season. This is Tyler Spear, your state coordinator of football officials, and I'm excited to welcome you to another year of football and another year of time in the film room where we're going to look at different clips from across our state, try and get better as officials as a whole. Once again, I'd invite any of you to send me a clip that you might have along the way this season. Certainly the best thing we can do for one another is to make sure that we all work to get better. And instead of me hunting for clips, it's always good when I have some things that kind of tee me up a little bit. So, looking forward to another great season under the lights, and let's get started. This year we're going to spend, at least for this week, but with it being such a big year for mechanics updates, thought it would be worth the time to at least spend this week's training video looking at the new free kick mechanics, and we'll touch on the scoring kick mechanic as well here in a sec. But I thought that would be a really valuable use of our time, and so that's where we're going to go to begin today. Alrighty, we've all seen this before, the new free kick mechanics, and so there it goes. Alrighty. So this is the new alignment for those free kick mechanics, and it's a slight change, but I think a strong change, something that's been a long time coming for us. And I honestly think it's going to really leverage some strengths with a crew of five. So big changes now, obviously. Back judges, your job's the same. Umpire, you are now up on ours free kick line. And again, what we want is we want both the back judge and the umpire after a try to work their way up the sidelines, not up the middle of the field, and get to their respective free kick lines, and then come to the middle and instruct your teams about the things that we need them to be instructed upon, and then go to the sidelines together. From there, we want obviously to be ready to do this free kick. I don't understand quite why that's there. It goes. Understand, where we're at for this free kick. Sorry about that. Again, Wings, you're now on the goal line, and this is an important change. But one of the things that I think is really strong about this is it's going to improve cones of vision for everybody. And so there we go. So once we're aligned and we're ready to go, realistically, Wings, we want you to stay put kind of right on that coffin corner. And we'll talk about a few key things as we watch film, but you can see what this does to our cone of vision and what the line judge and the headlines is looking at for that cone of vision, looking for those first threats. Largely you're going to stay on the goal line and then release, I would say, in fits and starts. Couple key things here though is that the two wing officials, the HL and the LJ, you maintain ball spotting responsibility unless this thing is busted for a long return. So realistically, you're not releasing this to the umpire and the back judge respectively until it probably crosses midfield. I think that's an important distinction that we want to keep in mind, is that Wings, you're going to trail this, but then once the play is down, you've got to hustle up the sideline and square in on that spot. So wide cones of vision, you can see now where the referee's cone of vision is as well. Really much stronger coverage downfield for the threats that are coming that way towards the kick return. One other thing here, wing officials, you're going to release upfield quicker than the referee. Referee, you're going to wait a little while before you release. In fact, you should never be in advance of your wing officials, never. And in terms of ruling on a touchback, the referee is the only person who rules on a touchback unless either the line judge or the headline judge, unless their coffin corner is in play. Wings, you don't signal touchback. Only the R does that. But if it comes into your area with one of those rare coffin corner situations, then the Wings, you would have a responsibility there. And then the last thing I'll highlight here is for the umpire and the back judge, you'll see these arrows. It is more important than ever with this new mechanic that you two keep this play in front of you, that you don't get beat deep. And so you're operating a lot like you'd see the deep wing officials operate on a college crew. So you might step forward a little bit, but you've got to maintain that distance, back out, and remember, you've got goal line responsibility. So keep that distance, keep that cushion. It's only going to benefit you. Now, one last thing before we go on. Some people here have the back judge who works onto the field. And in fact, the mechanics manual, the old mechanics manual, had the back judge working all the way into the middle of the field. That has changed. Now it would permit the back judge to work up to the hash and work inside out, though Tyler Spear personally would prefer that you stay put on the sideline. But either is approved and either is fine for back judge in that way. Just remember, back judges, even if you work in the middle of the field, you've got goal line and you've got that coffin corner. That you're the only person that has that coverage. Okay, real quickly, we're going to talk about scoring kicks, and you can see the new alignments here. And one thing to note, umpires are dropping to the press box side. Wing officials are staying put, and the referee has his normal position. And so I know a lot of our crews have been dropping the umpire for some time. That is just now the default mechanic in order to protect that line of scrimmage a little more fully. One thing here, though, that's been discussed, and I'll need to touch on something else here in just a sec. But one thing that's been discussed is, well, at what point does the distance become an issue for the umpire? And I agree with you. And this is where we in Wyoming are going to do it this way. Pick a line. And if you don't want to pick a line, I'll pick it for you. And that's the 15-yard line. Okay. So my umpire is dropping from the 15 and in. So anytime we're 15, 14 or shorter, the umpire is going to drop and be on the uprights. If we're at the 16 or further out, we are still going to drop the wing. So in this situation, the line judge is going to drop and the umpire is going to come up here. Now, the reason for that is just because of the distance for the umpire to do his other responsibilities. And it gives enough distance and time that if we did have a fire play, the line judge could make a pretty good attempt at the coffin corner or the sideline on their side. The referee obviously could come in and trail this way. So we're dropping the umpire on tries, and we're dropping the umpire on scoring kicks, 15 and in. Some people like 20 and in. That's fine. I wouldn't go any further than that. But pick a line and note that we're going to do this mechanic, but if we're super far out, I'd like to have the umpire further up if at all possible. One last thing we'll talk about here before we move on is on 6-player football. We all do a lot of 6-man in this state. Every other kickoff, well, more like 80% plus of the kickoffs in Wyoming for 6-man football are onside kicks. And so what I want to say is in 6-man football, our default is the short mechanics, the onside kick mechanics. And then we can adjust if they decide to kick it deep. So 6-man football, line judge, you're up here on the 40 with the back judge. Umpire, you're in your normal position. Back judge, you're in your normal position. Headline judge, you're on ours free kick line. And we're just going to work it that way. Because honestly, even though there's only 12 players, why would we have 3/5 of our officials too far away from what is going to be a scrum for the football? So err on the side of using the short mechanics for 6-player football and this for 9-player and above. And again, coverage areas. And there we have it. Certainly, if you have any questions along the way, please give me a shout and we can talk through what those might look like. And we'll discuss them from there. Well, now we're going to go ahead and do a little film study here. So let me get going here. All right. Got a little football film for us on free kicks. Now, one of the best pieces of news as we adjust to this new free kick mechanic is that our friends in Nebraska have been doing this mechanic for quite some time. In fact, a few of us went to a clinic over in Nebraska and got our butts chewed for not following this mechanic. So it leaves us with a little bit of good film so that we can understand what this looks like. And so as you can see here, back judge is on K's free kick line. Umpire is on ours free kick line. Everybody's looking nice and legal. We'll go ahead and let this go. And I'm going to pause it here. We'll go back and watch this play full tilt, but you can see, and certainly this little Wi-Fi thing kind of blocks out our line judge from view. But the headline judge here, you can see on the goal line, and the referee on the goal line as well. That's what we want. Referees, you're not back on the end line. And so again, we have this nice cone of vision here, here, and the cone of vision for our line judge would be here and here. So gives us a broader view of everything. Obviously, this is coming right into the line judge's kitchen. And so he's going to have an opinion on that. The referee is watching the ball a little bit, but he can be looking up, and the headline judge can be looking up, looking for those first threats. And even the line judge should be looking through this kick receiver at first threats. So let's go ahead and we'll back this up a little bit and we'll let it go. So again, referee, you can probably stay put on the goal line here. Wings, you're moving up as we would want you to. That's good movement. Okay. Our referee has a marker down, so we'll replay that in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at this one more time. I'm going to pause it once the kick ends, just so that we don't have to watch the replay of all this. All right, so we have a threat coming up the middle here. It's somebody in this mess here. So keep your eyes there, and the referee is going to throw. This contact here, circle. So we had a little contact here. I think a deep wing is going to have an opinion on that one. And some of the other contact, those are the deeps looking in this direction to try and have opinions on some of that stuff there. Okay, and then if we go through here, back it up and find it here. So I'm pretty sure it's this cat right here that's going to be our culprit. So let's watch him slowly. And you see him going flying right in there. Let's back it up. You can see it one more time. And our referee throws. A couple things on this. And again, we see the tackle here. The headline judge comes up and gets a spot. Our line judge over pursues just a little bit, is on the 20. We obviously don't want to over pursue here, guys. We want to keep this behind us, take our time. And where this play is over here on the away side, we as this line judge want to stay further back and keep that wide cone of vision, okay? And then just trail up and be that solid partner cross-field mechanics wise, okay? So this kick and play ends somewhere around the 17, it looks like, 18 maybe, and that LJ has to correct, which we don't want. So just keep that in mind as you're trailing these plays. Now, next thing we'll look at is where this foul occurs. Okay, I'm saying that foul occurred around the 2021, right? And where does our referee's flag land? You can see it there. Lands about the 15. So I think it's a good get by the referee for the block in the back. However, we need to make sure that we go and fix our flag before we go any further with this. Obviously, we do that after the play's over. We don't want to quit officiating, which is clearly what this cat's doing. He's worried about his flag as opposed to finishing out that play. So don't be flag admirers. Make sure that we're finishing officiating. So go ahead and watch it through one more time, and then we'll see where these guys landed on this. And you can see these two guys here have worked into the middle together. I don't love that, folks. I really want the back judge can work into the hash as we talked about. Umpire, you need to be back on this sideline because ultimately, if they do break this, you've got not only goal line, but coffin corner responsibilities. So you want to keep this in front of you and you want to keep yourself in that right position. The way that referee's running, it makes me think he's going to go fix this. And we are on the 10, which means he fixed his flag. So good job there. Just an example of what we're looking for here with those plays. Go ahead and do another one with our friends in Nebraska. All right, same thing you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and back this one all the way up. Again, alignment here is good. I really like the positioning of this, but that's a terrible drawing of this headline judge down here, facing the field of play and is really ready to have that wide cone because of where his posture is. I mean, that is exactly what we're looking for. So this is new for us, but certainly give that a try here. And this one here, we'll just let it go. Again, referee, you don't need to move at all in that play, right? You don't need to move at all. Just stay put, move slower, and certainly don't get out ahead of your wings. And then this one here is interesting because we have a KOB, a kick out of bounds. And so if we'll stop it right about here. Let's do it this way. The football is right here. Now, in the old mechanics, this H is up here on the 30, right? And the other one is down here on the 20, which that person doesn't really matter. But if our wing official up here is on the 30, we're now having to look over our shoulder at the football, which is that little yellow dot there. And if we look at where this goes, bounces about the 10, does R touch it or not? And then it goes out of bounds around the 5 for the KOB. Boy, I tell you what, I don't know that the referee is going to have a great look at that because he's looking through the back of this player, right? At that moment. And if we're up here as the H and we're looking back here, we're missing all the dudage right there, which is where we should be looking, right? So I think this is just one example of why this new mechanic is going to put us in a stronger position to officiate. Because here we have a great opinion not only on first threats as they come down, but also on this potential for was it possessed in bounds before it went out of bounds? This KOB, did it go in the end zone? I think this is a real testament as to why this new mechanic puts us in a much stronger position. So, again, try and keep those mechanics in mind. And I'm just going to reiterate umpires stay on the sideline. Back judge, you can work in if you want, but I would prefer you on the sideline as well. Think about it like deep wings, but there you go. So, just a couple things to kind of how we set things up here. And then, since we're on the subject of free kicks, I thought we'd throw up a couple more from here in the Cowboy State. And this one's we've got a little more detail on, but these are just good clips. And I want to say thanks to this crew for always being willing to say yes to me, picking on them a little bit on film. This is a good game to pull some film from. And so we're going to talk about a few plays here. But just as they get this kick set up, Wings, just remember, you're going to be on this corner in the end zone. Move slowly and then break quickly to get the spot. Okay. So you're going to start out slow and you're going to move in fits and starts. You might move up to the 5, the 10, and then slow down. But then once that ball and that play is dead, sprint up that sideline and square off where that spot is. And if you want to see what that looks like in action, watch a college game, watch a pro game, and you'll see how those wing officials do it. And that's what we're looking for in this. So here we go. We'll play this one out. Ooh, from the top, we have a back judge checking if K is legal. That's great. And the referee, you're going to hold your ready for play until now. That way we can make sure everybody's in position to officiate. Everybody's nice and legal here. So love that. Good job by this crew doing that. All right. We'll go ahead and just let this one go. And then we'll talk about the fun afterwards. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So we'll go ahead, we'll start it. Again, keep in mind, this is old mechanics. So I'm going to talk about new mechanics on an while overlaying an old mechanics video. So take everything with that context. Referee, again, you can stay on the goal line and just let this go off in front of you here. Big thing right out of the gate is if you look at the bills of the hat of several of these officials, you can tell that they're watching the ball. Can't be ball watchers here. Okay, at this point, we know that we've got a direction being declared for this return. So this guy over here, keep your eyes wide. There's some stuff happening right in here. Back judge is probably watching on this kicker and that interaction there. This guy here should be looking in this area for those first lead blocks, that type of a thing. All right, I'm going to pause it here because we have a couple knuckleheads right here that we need to keep our eyes on. I'm pretty sure our headline judge is on it, but certainly this is why backside referee, back judge probably looking lead. So referee, you might be able to help with this here and certainly stay with it. And you can see our referees looking at it too. That's fine. The runner has got not much in front of him. Certainly, the runner doesn't foul anyways. And you've got two officials on this sideline that are going to help you with that. Obviously, too, we have interaction here, so we want eyes on that as well. And then this is still potential up here. Okay, potential late hit out of bounds, but I don't think so. And then we're going to stop right here because we have a problem. The wing that spots the ball is looking at what? Air, I guess. Our crossfield mechanics have gone away because we're worried about a football. Okay, dead ball officiate. Don't just watch the ball, dead ball officiate. This guy here, good job, because we have oppo color. I can see by the bill of his hat, he's looking where he needs to. But stay with this because right there, I'm going to back it up, and I want you to watch 54 and 17. Now, this is a nothing burger, big old nothing sandwich, but this is why in this situation, guys, what we want when this play ends, okay, I'll go back to where the play ends right about there, okay? This guy here, I'd like you to stay there or be even a little further back because we're doing the reverse mechanic. And then for our short official here, you can stay put or come up to this yard line where the play ends. But instead of squaring in, just look downfield and keep your eyes into the dead ball because we have oppo color in the wrong bench. And so we need to have our eyes in the right spot. This official does a good job being out of the way. But yeah, so here we are. Again, the other official can stay back, but instead of looking at the 36, we should be just right on that line and looking in. Oh, it's going to freeze on me. We should be just looking straight down the line here at the action that's right here. That way we still have eyes on what's most important, right? And the reason for that is important. So watch our friend 17 after he gets picked up here and 54 as he comes in. Again, it's nothing there, but it could have been. And I would say it was nothing this time, right? So we need to have eyes on that because this is the opening kickoff of the game, sure, but this is the kind of thing that can fester or, this time it's nothing, which thank God because nobody saw it. But say 17 gets completely throttled, we have nothing to say for ourselves. So just a few things on this, and then we kind of clean up and we get ready for the next play. So just a couple things here. Let me back it up a little bit. Kind of saw those blocks. Remember, we're keeping those wide cones of vision. The backside mechanics, good job staying with the knuckleheads. You're just looking for threats. Make sure we've got eyes on the late hit. Again, for the up officials, the back judge and the umpire, you're thinking like deep wings, keeping that distance, maintain goal line responsibility. And like I say, no reason to square up on that spot, Wings. Just get to your yard line and keep your eyes on the action. Or better yet, we don't even need to get to the yard line just yet. It's still going to be there. It's the 36. It might be the 37. Okay. Not a big deal. 17 and 54 getting into a mess. Big deal. So things to think about on that particular play. All right. Jump to the next one here. Okay. Again, a couple things as we start this play. Referee, stay on the goal line. You're moving slower than we ever have. It's going to feel weird, but that's the best practice here. Wings, you're going to release first, I should say, and trail this, but also keeping that distance. Referees, again, don't get ahead of your wings. We talked about the back judge mechanics. When we're working opposite wing on these returns, try not to over pursue the official whose side of the field is on it. This looks kind of sloppy when we have to course correct on these spots. And so this, as you can see, this bottom wing here, he's ahead of the play and then comes in and has to correct over pretty hard to get to the spot. There's no need for that. Just trail the play slower, keep our eyes as level as we can, and then we're just coming up and mirroring our opposite official. So this is the H's call and where this play ends. But as you can see right here, we're 3-4 yards ahead. If we're this official here, we're 3-4 yards ahead. And then the play's still going, the play's still going, the play's still going. And we're busting in here. And we're only a yard off. But if instead of at the point this play ends, if we're back here and come in, it just looks a lot smoother. Little thing to keep in mind there. And you don't need to move in super far. We don't need to jump, all the way into here on this spot unless there's something we need to sell, right? So we can stop a couple steps in on that spot. We don't need to go all the way in and sell. And granted, this is a free kick, and maybe this is the umpire getting into the middle. It likely is. But we don't need to hurry and do that. Make sure that we've got the spot, right? Let's keep. All right. Back this up a little bit here until we get to the return. Want to keep those wide cones of vision, right? So from this angle here, we've got our wide cone here, the referee up the middle, right? And we're looking for threats. So my first threat, probably here makes some sense. And we've each got an official from the deep that can look at those, right? Makes a lot of sense when we just take our time on this. Got a nothing sandwich there. We got a pile of dudes up here, so there's nothing there. Our backside guys are probably looking here and here just because we, one of the things we need to do is we need to find work on these plays. We don't just need to be standing around looking at air. Be looking for work. Find work. One NFL official that a lot of us here have grown to appreciate and hold in high regard, he has a quote, and that quote is, "Don't simply be an official, officiate the game." And if we're just kind of looking around, this guy's looking at the ball. Officiate the game. Go find yourself some work to look at here, right? Go find work. All right. Let's go to the next one. I think this might be our last one for the day, but this one is particularly fun. So this play here is 100% why this new mechanic is going to work and why it's a good thing for us. First things first, let's look at this formation. So we've got 4-2-3-2. And when we think about these cones of vision, hang on just a minute. I need straight lines. When we look at these cones of vision that we're going to have here, right? Straight up the sideline and at an angle here, straight up the sideline here, angle. Oh, come on now. Angle here. And then you've got the referees in the middle as well, right? We have got everybody covered, but more importantly, The two kick receivers, you might have one of them that comes and tries to lay a block, but realistically, these three, oh, and then of course I need to change my animator. These three cats right here are super important to have eyes on because they're going to receive the first wave of this oncoming kickoff team. And importantly, where do the streakers come from? Obviously, the outside and in, right? Those outside streakers. But oftentimes they sneak a quick person here in the middle. And we want to make sure that we have our cones of vision where they need to be for that piece as well. And so maintaining that eye discipline is super important. And I'm going to go ahead and let it go, and we'll see why. Okay, well, hopefully you saw it. Again, eye discipline here because our friend here, the gunner, as we talked about, is going to give us something to pay attention to. So I'm going to try and trail him along the way, but it's this one right here, I do believe, is our friend that we need to watch. So as we see him, he's clearly by far and away before he gets hit here. And you got to look this far up. This is that eye discipline thing we're talking about, right? He's our first threat. And from this far back, you may not have the depth perception for that, but clearly he is our first threat. And so he needs the first look that we give. It's kind of like for us referees or anyone that's worked in the offensive backfield. We're taught not just to officiate the offense, but officiate the defense. We know who the studs are, and we officiate them because that's where our threat's going to come from. It's the same here with a gunner on this play. He gets shucked, which is just fine, and that takes him off his game. But again, if we look at, oh, come on. If we look at our friend, this gunner here, he gets away with some fun here. So we'll go ahead, let it play through on slow motion on Mr. Guardian Cap here. And holy cow, got ourselves a Saturday night special. We'll talk about the wing mechanics here again a little later. I don't want to beat this guy to death a little bit, but this is where maintaining those cones of vision is important. Referee, you might still be on the goal line here. The wings, you might be up at the 10. We're going to adjust this out. Obviously, kick receiver is this guy. Mr. Guardian Cap is the lead blocker, so we got to keep eyes on him. And again, we're looking for work. And I don't see work being found here just yet. But look for work. We've got this block here. We've got this guy here, this one here. Really this mess here. Like there's so many places where we can go and find meaningful work on this return instead of watching the football. So I'll back it up. So what do you have here on that play with number 0? And then the play ends. It's really nothing else after that. Again, we want this guy to square in. The banana just looks not the move. And I think, honestly, not to nitpick, but I'm gonna. If he's our spotter, we missed a spot. Our top guy's got it right on the money. This guy here, I think, misses our spot. And again, perhaps an umpire, but still gotta look smooth. So here we go. Now, if we back it up here to the important parts, hopefully you've had a minute to think about these two here. Look at my notes real quick. So honestly, literally, this is the first threat on this kick return. We got to have eyes on this. In the new mechanic, you may have 2 or 3 sets of eyes on this. In the old mechanic, referees, sorry, this is on you. But even in the new mechanic, this is on you, referees, because this is the first threat. This play is a case study on why we shouldn't be watching the ball. It's also a case study on why we want to keep our distance and keep our cone of vision wide, because maybe our referee's a little too close. And that can happen. You get too close. Maybe you're straight lined. If you're watching the ball, you come to it late. That's okay. Stay back, wide cone of vision. And what that gives us is multiple sets of eyes on this. Because as we would say, for those of us that are grading our holds, that's a 5. That's got to be thrown all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, right? It's right at the point of attack. And lastly, and probably most importantly, this is a reverse takedown. This is not a foul on the return team to me. Who's outside the frame and who does the pulling down? I'm pretty sure this is on 0 if it's me, folks. That looks like a reverse takedown all day long. It sure isn't nothing. So go back and look at this one, folks. I'm going to let it play from the top one time just so that we can see it in full speed. But yeah, this is a case study in why we've got to have our eyes where they need to be, because I think this is the kind of stuff that, if you watch a college game or a pro game, they throw a ton on returns, and high school game we really don't. Now, I'm not telling you to start throwing a ton, but this is one we got to get. And frankly, this is one on the kicking team. If I'm throwing it, our umpire here, I'm going to give him a little credit. He comes to this, he peeks at the ball, not sure what we're watching. He comes, you can see he's looking at it. You can see our R's looking at it. I wonder if we just came to it late, and at that point, definitely don't guess. I appreciate you not guessing on something like this. But yeah, we gotta have something, especially on that first threat. So talk about this one. I think we're tacking 10 on here, folks. So that's kind of what I got. All right, officials, thank you for your time. Thank you for all you do for the state of Wyoming. This is Tyler Spear, your state coordinator of football officials. Appreciate all you do for the state, and have a great week out there on the road. We'll see ya.